Let's put it this way. Propeller-driven night fighters, German night fighters, weren't too much of a problem because they couldn't fly as fast as we could. And they used to put up Focke-Wulf 190s at about 30,000 feet. And they used to use these things to come down and attack us, but we could usually see them coming and we could avoid them. And if they passed by, they never could get round in time to pick you up. So you might say fairly that propeller-driven night fighters weren't too much of a problem. But anti-aircraft fire, which was radar controlled, linked to searchlights, it was all lethal, and they used to give you a hell of a hard time coming in over the target and going out wherever it was. But of course, Berlin was the worst of all.
So I'm interested because you did 50 missions. The Mosquito sounds like a very capable aircraft. If you look at Bomber Command statistics, they were only getting a few sorties before being shot down. Whereas the Mosquito, there was some stats I read that 1 in 200 missions were the aircraft was shot down. What was it that made it more survivable? You were doing some very dangerous missions, yet somehow, whether it's the aircraft, the pilots, the combination of everything, what was it that made it?
It was speed. It was speed. If you were unfortunate enough to be flying Stirlings, which were much slower and had a much lower ceiling, they were so vulnerable to night fighters that if you were in a room with beginning a tour with 3 other captains, you were 1, 3 other captains making 4, at the end of 3 months, 3 out of those 4 would be dead or taken prisoner. But very few, in fact, escaped to be taken prisoner. I think only about 5%. So you stood a 1 in 4 chance of survival, which were horrendous odds. I mean, it wasn't even 50-50. So, well, it was best not to be on Stirlings, wasn't it? And I was lucky enough to be on Mosquitoes, where the attrition rate was minimal by comparison with the heavies. Even the Lancasters were much slower, and of course they were much more vulnerable. And if you're looking for heroes, and I certainly wasn't a hero, if you're looking for heroes, it was the crews of those slow, vulnerable bombers, and they took a terrible pounding. The Lancasters did rather better than the Stirlings, but even then, I think for a tour, you were lucky if 50% survived.